Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derrick, and I'm joined today by Serebee's Merrick to give our thoughts on Detective Pikachu. We've both been waiting a long time to play it, but did it actually live up to our hopes? So let's get started and find out. Alright, Joe, yeah, as I said, we've been waiting for this since 2016, kind of disappeared off the map. Both of us were just sort of enraptured by the game when it first came out in Japan, and then nothing, and now we finally have it.
Finally, I mean, I just lost hope. I thought maybe it didn't do well, maybe it's been cancelled, but then they announced the movie, and I was like, gotta finish the game, you gotta finish the game story.
I mean, that's what makes sense. As soon as they announced the movie, it's like, okay, we have to get this at some point. There is no way they can sell this weird idea of a talking Pikachu without having the game as some kind of basis first.
Yeah.
That said, after playing the game, I do think it's a kind of a smart place to start for a Pokemon movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very cinematic game. That's to its detriment as well as to its credit. It's just, I mean, through it all, I was thinking this should be a movie, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, we can cut this chapter, trim this part, make this here, cut these characters. I was like, yeah, I could easily see this being turned into an hour and a half, 2-hour movie somewhere in there, and still getting all the basic stuff across, and maybe adding a few things of your own to make it interesting and different enough for the people who's played the game. But yeah, I could totally see this working. And you're right, it is also to its detriment because it is basically a point-and-click adventure game. Just very simplistic.
That's putting it lightly. I mean, the game took, 10 hours to complete?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'd say about 8 of that is watching cutscenes.
Yeah, I'd say right around there. Like, I took my time. I talked to probably more people than I needed to, so it took me about 11 to 12 hours to actually beat it, but that was just me like trying to see everything, seeing what I needed to see, just getting a better sense of it. But you really don't need to talk to every single NPC in this. Like, you might search around for a certain one after a certain point, but for the most part, once you talk to the right person, they'll guide you where you need to go and who you need to talk to, so you don't really have to waste time talking to people you don't need to. And yeah, you can get through most chapters in about an hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to talk to people and just continue on is also a bit to the game's detriment, because a lot of the time I was like thinking, oh yeah, so this is the person who's probably done it, so I should go speak to them, sort it out, but I'd have to go through various other steps before I could get there. So it was incredibly linear.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew that going in. But we played the first 3 chapters years ago, so we knew that going in.
Yeah, it's very much a guided experience, and it's fine, because to me this is very much a kid's game. I don't see, like, unless you're like us and you just like the core experience and how charming the game is overall, you're not going to get much out of this game unless you just want to enjoy the cutscenes and enjoy the setting and the characters and everything like that. This game is not going to tax your mind at all.
No, it really isn't. I mean, that's just really where the only place the game falters, in my opinion.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm not even sure like what would be a good solution for it, because obviously they are going for the kids market and trying to get them in. And if you make it too difficult, then you don't want to be as obtuse as the classic PC adventure games where it's like, okay, I need this random item and this random item, and somehow they work together in order to solve this puzzle. That's never a thing in Detective Pikachu.
No.
I do think they could have done with a few more traditional puzzles, like the passcode you had to find, or the wires you had to fix, or the mural you had to fix. There are a few more things like that, rather than just the standard, like, matching this is who did what where.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you there. I mean, when I was compiling the section for the site, I noticed that really there was only like 5 things in each chapter to do, and most of them are done automatically as you progress. So it definitely could have done with a few more puzzles, not like Professor Layton level of puzzles, but that would have been cool. But it could have done with a few more, but what was there was fine. But that wasn't the focus of the game. That wasn't what I loved about the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it is one of those games that just completely sells you with its cast of characters. Like, I don't know if you played in English or Japanese, but I love the English voice cast. I think they all just nailed their roles, and I didn't see a bad one in the bunch. And that's especially hard to do with, especially with this new gruff take on Pikachu. Like, they really did sell that character.
Oh, I completely agree with you there. I mean, they did tone it down a bit from the Japanese, I believe, but it was still really gruff. He's still like a drizzled detective with his coffee.
Oh boy, does he love his coffee. Like, when you have like interactions where it's just talking about how good coffee is, it's like, what are you trying to tell kids here? Like, you're gonna really, like, they're really helping the coffee industry with this this game. We're not going to get into spoilers yet. We'll just give a general overview right now. But what really did stand out to you, just as far as characters or storyline?
Really, the overarching stuff with Mewtwo, because that was really nice, and there was a lovely, very lovely callback to Generation 2 Pokemon games in it, and I really appreciated that. Yeah,
there was some really smart integration of the Mewtwo stuff, and that's not a spoiler because I show them in the trailers constantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mewtwo is of course in the game, but his role is a lot different than I thought it would be. And as soon as they brought up what it actually was, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. This works really well. That's actually a pretty compelling story, and trying to figure it out. And I had the core mystery. Like, even ever since the 26 when I first played in 2016, I was like, I think I know what happened to Tim's father.
Yeah.
And I was not wrong. But it was still just the journey to get there and seeing how it all unfolded and what you needed to do. It's like, okay, yeah, like this actually, the progression makes sense, especially since when your first mission is just chasing down some random Apom. Like, okay, what's this have to do with anything? And it kind of does, but not really.
Yeah.
But they just gradually, like, wow, they got really into the meat of this stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah, I do feel that some of that might have been due to the feedback from the first 3 chapters, because the first couple of chapters kind of slow. I mean, chapter 3 goes on for a bit too long, chapter 2 is a bit short, but everything from chapter 4 onwards was a bit more focused, a bit more lively. It did a lot, so they definitely had some improvements there, in my view.
Honestly, one of my favorite chapters might just be 5, just because I like the setting, I like the characters you met. It felt a little bit more streamlined than the other ones. It just was a nice, short, let's figure out what the heck happened here. And I don't know, it just really kind of struck a chord with me, and I ended up really enjoying it. And I also wonder, like, you know, Mimikyu of course is in this game, and it's like, did they always plan to have the Gen 7 Pokemon in there, or did they just take so long? It's like, okay, let's put in some popular Gen 7 Pokemon.
Yeah, that does raise thought. I mean, I did calculate on, well, the other day, how many of each generation are in it, and there's only 4 Gen 7 Pokemon in it, so it does feel like maybe they're a bit of an afterthought in it.
Just sort of put it in. Now, they fill their roles fine, especially Mimikyu. Mimikyu is great. I mean, they knew what they had there. So it's not a bad thing. Like, I think the mix does well enough, and understandable for when this thing went into production and how it all took to get there. But yeah, I think that's the thing I just come around to most. It's like, it's not a challenging game or anything like that, but if you're in for just kind of an engaging, kid-friendly Pokemon story, this is a good one.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It just depends how much a story like this can hold your attention.
Yeah.
Because I know some people, maybe not. Like, I don't think my nephew probably would, but that's just because he gets bored quickly.
Yeah, I could see, like, my nephew, he's only 3 right now, so he's not quite old enough to start really playing games yet, but he does love Pikachu. He started watching the anime, and he's just like, he loved Pikachu before he even knew what Pokemon was. He just saw one of the dolls in a store, and he's like, he just immediately wanted it. It was just, that's when I realized, it's like, holy crap, that's how insidious Pikachu is. The design is so good that you don't have to know anything about the show, and kids will want to interact with this electric mouse. So I could definitely see him getting into it if he was like slightly older, like 5 or 6, and probably enjoy it and for what it was and what he could do with it, and just enjoying the storyline. But I guess that's the hard one. It's hard for me to tell because I didn't have like huge expectations of a grand conspiracy plot or anything crazy like that. Like it met my expectations, but it also didn't drop the ball. I think that's the other big thing for me.
Yeah, it was solid throughout. There wasn't really any bad stuff. It all built to the final end. It wasn't rushed. It was just solid in my view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you really do have to sort of decide whether or not this is for you. And I think you'll probably realize it pretty quickly from just looking at any of the materials and seeing what's being done, if you'll have any interest in actually playing more of it. Because I actually, when we went to do this discussion, I had assumed that Marty, your girlfriend, had completed the game as well, because she's just as much of a Pokemon fan as you are. So I was like, oh yeah, she's probably done. Let's get her in here and get her thoughts. But she hasn't completed the game yet, and I think you said that she's not really getting drawn into it that much.
No, I just think she would need to focus a bit more on it, but it's not really her sort of game.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, it's not going to be everyone's sort of game.
Yeah, I'm curious how well it's going to sell, because it's still Pokemon, but it's very different Pokemon.
Yeah, it does seem to me that they've got a lot riding on it, especially with the movie coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it does well.
Yeah, and I do wonder if it's... I mean, I have no issue with it being on the 3DS. It looks amazing on the 3DS. But I do wonder if it being on there instead of the Switch, which again, because it's been in production so long, there's no way it was going to come to the Switch. Just not happening. But I do wonder if that will hurt it.
Possibly. I mean, we did see a lot of 3DS games since the Switch came out get hurt by the fact they're not on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible. It would be nice if it comes to the Switch one day. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Switch port when the movie comes out.
I could see that. That'd be a nice, easy way to do it, or maybe even a sequel.
That would be good. I mean, spoiler alert, it did end openly, so...
Oh, yeah. It completes this story, but it's definitely open to a sequel. Any other general thoughts you want to talk about the game? Because I think we've mentioned just plenty of times before about how gorgeous the game is.
It's so gorgeous. It's the best looking 3DS game I've ever played, I've ever seen, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like playing a Pixar game in some ways, a Pokemon Pixar game.
Yeah, it's just a very clean art style. The character designs are really on point and just stand out. Like, everybody looks unique and different. You instantly recognize a lot of these characters you meet, which is good for a mystery game. The Pokemon are extremely well designed. I love seeing how well they're integrated into this world. To just see them sort of hanging out naturally with their partners. And being able to talk to them with Pikachu, you do get a better sense of like how Pokemon are affected by their partners, and even like some of them not necessarily liking their partners in the form of like small spoiler here, but Chat Tot. Chat Tot was hilarious. Like, why am I stuck with this no talent scrub?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where again, the graphics, personality, music, I think all those come through.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with that, the Pika prompts are a perfect example of showing this game's personality. I mean, aside from the general ones about coffee, but the exclusive ones in each chapter, like when you're near a particular Pokemon, those are always great. Yeah,
it's fun to see Pikachu interact with these different Pokemon, whether it's Fletchling landing on his head or trying to have a shouting match with Loudred. It's good stuff. I don't know, I definitely enjoyed all of them. I'm glad I didn't have to hunt them all down myself. Thank God for the amiibo. Being able to do that.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about unlocking all this stuff. Otherwise, I don't think the amiibo has much use, and I still don't know why it's so freaking huge, but...
It is ridiculous how big it is. Like, I knew it was going to be big, but as soon as I got it, I was like, this is too big.
Yeah. Like, I got the box in, and I'm like, I opened it up, it's like, I again, like you said, I knew it was going to be big, but you open up and see the box, it's like, holy crap. Like, I know there was that whole giant Yarn Yoshi plush, but I never got one of those, and for some reason it doesn't click with you as much because that's a plush.
Yeah.
It's, it's soft, and you've seen teddy bears and stuff like that, but to see this statue of Detective Pikachu and just how huge it is, I'm like, crap, where am I going to put this? I don't want to do too many spoilers, but I do want to get some deeper thoughts into the storyline and how you thought it went and how things are going there. But generally, both of us like it. It has its issues and all that, but if you guys wanted to hear some spoiler talk, we're going to get into that right now. So, yeah, did you feel with how it progressed and wrapped up as far as its overall storyline?
I mean, I like that it ended ambiguously with what happened to Harry and why Pikachu can talk. Because we all have our theories. I mean, we all think that Harry is Pikachu, or Pikachu is Harry through some sort of Mewtwo manipulation. And that was kind of hinted by the choice at the end that Pikachu was given by Mewtwo.
I do wonder, like, because of that choice and Harry is ostensibly deciding to stay as Pikachu for now and not, like, letting Tim know, hey, I'm alive, all that stuff. Do you think, like, Harry's actually dead, and if he decides to give that up, he'll, that's it? Pikachu will go back to normal and he's gone? Like, it's kind of a dark thought, honestly. It
is a very dark thought. I mean, that dark thought was even played with a bit in the epilogue, wasn't it?
Yeah, a bit. That's what made me think. It was like, because why would, now that he has his memory back and has fulfilled the promise to Mewtwo, why would he not want to go back to his own body so he could see his son and his wife and let them know, hey, I'm okay. I'm going to stay this Pikachu because we need sequels. But also just, but storyline reasons, because stay this Pikachu, and that makes you think, is Harry actually dead? I mean, they never found a body, so maybe it's just comatose somewhere and he has to find the body first. I don't know, but
even then, they never overtly said it. They let it be up to us to work it out, which I think was a very nice touch. And if they want to go a different way in a future game, then they still can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very good choice on their part, because you never really see Harry. They never have you hear his voice. You just hear about him, and the things you hear about him obviously match up with Detective Pikachu. Although I hope he's not as much of a flirt with women in real life, considering he has a wife and son, but still. Oh God. I for some reason I love that scene when he goes into the PCL office and he's just sort of winking and nodding and to the receptionist, and she's just kind of like, She's like, I'm getting it from a damn Pikachu now. Just lovely. No, I like the way things progressed as you learned. Of course you get to chapter 6 and you're like, okay, there's something up. At first I thought he was just maybe the culprit of the whole thing with I'm trying to think of his name, but Kevin? Was it Kevin? Keith, that's it. He was probably just behind that case. I did not expect it to go, oh yeah, no, he's like, in quotes, the main villain. I was like, man, that was quick. I did not expect to get there. But I was also thinking, revealing Keith as the main villain at the end of what would have probably been part 2 of if it was still episodic, that would be a good cliffhanger to go into the final bit. So good on you, Detective Pikachu. And then
I didn't actually think of it like that, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it would have been the final part of part 2.
Yeah. Chapter 2 would be, I think the middle 3 chapters would serve as a good episode 2, just because, you're learning more about this whole R substance. You're finding out a little bit about what happened to your father and just the effects of it. And then you find out who you think is the villain. Still is the villain, but not the main villain. And then leading right into the actual finale of it all with the part 3. So I like how you could still kind of see that structure, and it really does work.
Yeah, I mean, they always say a good story's got a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, did you expect it to be? I'm blanking on these names now, but the actual villain,
Roger. No, I thought it was going to be the president of GNN.
Yeah, he talked about his ratings so much, and they talked about how the ratings have increased and whatnot. And, he directs all this stuff, so I thought Ethan Graham would be the one to point in that direction.
Yeah.
So Roger was a bit of a surprise. Otherwise, as soon as it wasn't Ethan, I was like, okay, it's definitely not Mako. There is no way they're making Mako the villain.
Then again, that would have been quite a plot twist.
Oh yeah, it would have been a heck of a plot twist if it was actually Amelia or Mako. And I was also I'm actually kind of impressed. They just had what's his face on the island, the other officer, just kind of be a jerk rather than an actual enemy. As soon as I saw his design, I was like, well, this is the true mastermind behind all the bad things. Just because they look at him is yeah, there's the villain. But nope, he's just a kind of a jerk of a cop.
Wow, Derrick, that is profiling.
Yeah. I mean, snooty white man. Yeah, that's the villain. And to be fair, wasn't too far off.
This is true. Yeah.
Just wrong white man. Oh goodness. But yeah, what was your favorite? What was your favorite chapter?
That's really hard to say. I guess chapter 8 was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're going onto the boat and getting towards the end, you can feel it coming, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, and I actually was legit shocked when I found out we were on a pleasure cruise and not, anywhere else. Did not see that one coming as it evolved through it all. And then just figuring out the pleasure cruise. Actually, that reminds me, did you successfully bid on both items?
I did, yes.
I missed it. I underestimated. I kind of messed up my math for the cape. So I missed out on the cape, but I did get the what was the other one? Well, the other item. But
the recipe book.
The recipe book. So I got that one. Does it add anything extra if you get both, other than the Pika prompt?
Nah.
Yeah. Just here's an extra thing you can do. Have fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. No, well. But yeah, I also like how Tim went full Ash when he was hunting down Keith. And then chapter 8 is like, yeah, that's alright, I'll fall. I don't care. I'm going to take you down.
Oh, those are heroes in these sorts of stories. They're so reckless.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's not quite Ash level of jumping off of the top of Prison Tower, though.
That is true. That's just because I feel like Tim would not go as far for Detective Pikachu as Ash goes for his.
Well, maybe if he knew that it might be his dad.
Yeah, that might have an effect, yes. I love how most of the failed action sequences are basically just, I kind of accidentally hurt Pikachu. Oh well.
Yeah.
He's fine. I was going to bring up something about, with R.
Yeah.
The entire time, when you first heard that name, and the reference to it being R, the connection with Mewtwo, I'm like, is Team Rocket going to show up at some point here? Is it's going to be the whole idea behind it is actually because of Team Rocket working with these scientists, and they were the ones secretly funding everything. I was really hoping for that.
I mean, that would be nice. I mean, there was the whole hint of the anime connection at the start of Chapter 3, so it could have worked, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's still a... it makes it its own thing. You don't have to... The game is very good about you not needing to know anything else about Pokemon. You could just jump right into Detective Pikachu and be completely fine. They'll tell you the types you need to know. They'll tell you... You'll get all the basic information. So that's why I kind of was like, I guess they probably won't show Team Rocket, but man, that'd be a good thing to have in there, just as this different idea. Although, now thinking about it, Roger...
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole point behind it, even though that's totally not the intention behind, the actual creators. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was nice that the whole Mewtwo thing comes back to the Berserk gene, which was a hold item in Gold, Silver and Crystal, which then disappeared and has never come back. I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, good way to tie it into Mewtwo, and especially like I kind of like the reference back to the first movie where Mewtwo was the only other Pokemon that could speak. I know the original actor's dead, but man, if he wasn't dead, I was like, man, I wish they could get him back. If they had the movie Mewtwo for this game doing his voice, oh, that'd be so good.
That would have been good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else just really stood out to me about this game, because I don't want to, again, we're talking spoilers, but I don't want to give too much for the bit by bit as things go on.
We just want to give away who the main bad
guy
is.
This is the main bad guy and all of that, but it's fine. Oh no, it was I think it's just a very solid ride throughout, and the personalities come through well. It looks great, and yeah, it's like I put it in my review. I like it a lot, but it's definitely not perfect.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, but it's solid.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, any other thoughts on Detective Pikachu before we wrap this up?
Just that I'm very intrigued to see how the movie is going to differ from this. Because they can't just retell everything as it is, because it's like, why would you watch the movie when you can play the game? Or why can you play the game when you can watch the movie?
Yeah, I totally get you. So, I mean, we do have some new original characters, so I can see how that would be. Not sure. I mean, I'm forgetting the pre-production photos. Has GNN showed up as in the pre-production?
I think so. It's been a while since I had a look, but most of it's based on Rhyme City Police Department.
Yeah.
That's most of the things in the scenes, so...
And the police don't really show up in this game outside of Holiday and Jerk Cop. So, we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be interesting if they came
be.
with a different villain.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That way it'll keep people guessing.
Yeah. Oh, before we end it off, I did want to say one other thing. Did it freak you out when you saw... Because I didn't actually play Chapter 3 when I played Detective Pikachu originally. So when I first saw Tim driving a car, I'm like, that's weird. That is weird to have a Pokemon protagonist actually able to drive. That means he's at least 16. That's weird. He should be on a bicycle.
Or a Tauros.
There you go. That makes sense. Cars, no.
Yeah, I think he's meant to be 18.
He would have to be at this point. Like, he's definitely one of the oldest Pokemon protagonists we've ever had.
Yeah, without a doubt. Then again, Wes in Colosseum, how old was he?
I'm not sure. I've not actually played Colosseum, but I know he was definitely a bit older too. I assumed like 14, 15. Because that's usually where they go. And if like you're gonna have an older Pokemon protagonist, 15. Not quite a full-grown adult or anything like that. Anyway, I think that about covers it for our Detective Pikachu discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Joe, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Serebii.net or on Twitter at Joe Merrick and at SerebiiNet.
Very cool. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.